Really excited to be here. My name's Deborah Mataliano. I'm the global head of restaurant tech for AWS. So in my space, AI and agentic AI are absolutely heating up. We have about 95% of restaurants using AI in some capacity, whether it's order taking or customer support or inventory tracking. It's everywhere in the restaurant industry. But I'm really excited to introduce you to our two panelists today, who are from pretty different industries, actually, designing different types of applications for consumer AI. And we're going to learn a little bit more about how agentic AI plays in their day-to-day. So I'm going to kick it over to Parker and then to Michael. Introduce yourself, tell the group a little bit more about what you're building and who you're designing for.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see you all. My name is Parker DiPaolo. I am the AI innovation specialist at Moultrie, which is an outdoor retailer based out of Birmingham, Alabama. We specialize in cellular connected deer feeders and trail cameras, essentially empowering our customers to take the most out of their time in the field when they are planning to go on a hunt. What we have been designing over the past year and some change are two different virtual assistants for our customer service initiatives, customer-facing virtual AI agents. We are operating on both voice and chat with two different vendors, actually. So it's been a really interesting experience doing that. And our customer base is pretty traditional. They are usually slow adopters to new technologies, artificial intelligence certainly being one of them. So it's certainly been, we've had some ups and downs. It's been very interesting. Excited to speak more about it.
Deborah, it's good to see you again. Parker, I'm excited to hear more based on our little conversation before this. My name is Mike Chory. I work for Presto, and I am co-founding and the president of a new division called Presto IQ. I've been doing this for about a month and a half. Before that, I was at Wendy's. I created and led the team that developed Fresh AI. It was the world's first generative AI agent to reach scale. When I left, we were at about 30 million orders. So that's everyday real people using generative AI successfully. And so I decided to go to Presto to be able to make a bigger impact across the industry, take what I've learned from going on that journey and being able to see what is next. What do you do once you're able to automate that drive-through and create a much more dynamic experience? So I'm excited to talk more about it with you all.
Well, we'll dive right in. I'm hearing a little bit of chatter from the crowd. I don't know if it's a rogue AI bot or agent, but I'd be curious from all of you, how many of you raised your hand if you have interacted with AI in the last week? That's pretty much everybody. And maybe we have a bit of a biased crowd today, given that we're at the Agentic AI Summit. But I'm curious from both of you, how are customer expectations changing now that we are interacting a little bit more from an AI perspective? What are you seeing customers want that's maybe different than a couple of years ago when this all first started to accelerate?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start with that. As I mentioned, our customers have been traditionally slow adopters of new technologies like AI. So for some of them, this is really the first experience that they might be getting with it. Others have experienced it from other companies or other teams, products that they interact with on a regular basis. So we do have a little bit of variety there. From some of the newer individuals, certainly they are wanting to see that instantaneous, fast, precise interaction and support that they need. From some of our others, though, they are really, really attuned to the personal experience that they are accustomed to getting from our traditional support agents and support team. And so even if we can give them the fast, precise service that they need, that isn't necessarily enough. They want to still maintain that human touch in really every interaction.
I want to ask one more deeper dive into that. So you mentioned backstage a bit that your customers actually respond differently depending on the context and the language that you're using, and you have a background in sociolinguistics. So give me an example of like a word that plays well with your customer versus one that doesn't, and how you might have learned that. Image versus picture, I think you mentioned?
Yes, yeah, we have a few specific lexical items that we are making sure that we exclude from our agent conversations and trying to tune them to really only use certain versions of those. One, as you said, is picture versus image. If our virtual agent says something about images on a camera, that is really an immediate tell for them that they're not speaking with the Moultrie team member that they might be accustomed to speaking with. Another one, cam versus camera. If we say camera, it's a little bit of a tell. They are used to hearing cam. And then for some of our other use cases as well, we operate on a subscription basis. We have had to provide specific prompting for our agents to handle prescription rather than subscription, because that's just how some of our customers will say it or misspeak it occasionally. So it is really interesting to have to tailor the experience in those ways that apologies, my goodness. We're tailoring the experience in those ways, that you just would not expect until you're seeing that real user behavior and how they're responding to these different iterations of an utterance.
So from the restaurant space, I have a background in retail. Before I worked at Wendy's, I spent an early part of my career working for Victoria's Secrets under the L brand umbrella before they broke up. And so I had the opportunity to learn a lot about how do you optimize the experience for customers and understanding behavior versus the intent that they would tell you they want. And so when we started on this journey to develop Fresh AI and probably most voice AI companies, it was really very simple. How do I automate the drive-through? If you were to ask a customer, what do you want Gen AI to do for you? They would say probably nowhere near my drive-through. But then I often will ask a question like, who has gone to fast food this week? Any fast food. I would assume it's probably the most of you, generally is the answer. And then I would follow up like, was it a great experience? Like we all think about like fast food from like the 90s. Like it was quick, it was convenient and inexpensive and fun. And usually those team members like created a great experience for you. I often think about like when I was very young, my mom was a single mom and she would, work late, pick me up, take me to honestly get McDonald's probably because she was too tired to go home necessarily. And I remember this woman that would always joke with my mom and call her mom or ma'am. And I'm like 7. I'm like, why is this lady calling my mom? Mom, that's my mom. But I think the intent of the story though is like, my mom was stressed out. Now that I'm older and I have kids, like life was probably pretty difficult back then. But I understood now that woman was treating her with dignity and respect. And sometimes we miss that in today's world. And the thing that I look at when to answer your question around what do our customers want, it's the classic QSR values that every one of the brands talks about. Now that I've left Wendy's, I'm at Presto, I've had a chance to talk to a couple dozen QSR companies. They all have very similar values and what they want to do. And with voice AI or generative AI, it allows us to recreate those values in a consistent way. So a customer might show up and experience the first time. They may not love it, but what they do get and they understand pretty quickly is like, I just ordered and moved on. Like I didn't have to stress out about it. The friction was gone. And I think the really more important part is when they pull up to the pickup window, they actually have a moment to talk to that human there. Like they're not going to talk about life. It's like 3 or 4 seconds, but it's 3 or 4 seconds with somebody not putting their hand out the window with a bag. And I think as I look at this space and what can we do with this technology, it's how do I create a more human experience? That's what our customers ultimately want. Even if they say, I don't want voice AI in the space, they want a human experience is what they're really trying to tell us. And so as I think about where we're going and how to approach these situations, that's the first mentality that I bring to the table. How do I make this more human? How do I enable connection? How do I be more in tune to where they're coming from, which you talked a little bit about as well.
Back on? Ooh. And how do we bring the best aspects of being human into the interaction too, when we think about just the politeness and sort of that pleasing quality to the conversation, especially in QSR, it's very difficult to work in a restaurant. The AI bot though isn't gonna call in sick and they're gonna be very consistent across customers. They're not gonna get in a mood. And so that's part of it, right? Is like there's great aspects of being human that AI can emulate. But I'm curious, you all have built very customized AI platforms that are consumer facing, and you're giving consumers what they want, something that's super personalized, that's human, that's also going at the speed of light. How do you do that in such a custom way, though, while still moving fast? There's this, and I think you talk about this, Parker, sort of a dichotomy between the plumbing and just buying the plumbing and then building around it to customize for what your customer wants. So how do you think about that? What are some things that you're doing to customize the experience? Or maybe what are some of the challenges that you face in doing that?
Yeah, some of the maybe by oh my goodness. Okay, so maybe by the end of this, I will figure out how to use the microphone. One of the ways that we are trying to tackle that personalization with our virtual assistants is primarily context retention, and
we're switching your mic. We're bringing a fresh mic up. Sound guy coming up. How's everybody doing? Hey, look at this. Is it that one? There you go.
Awesome. Sorry about that. As I mentioned, one of the things that we're really focused on across interactions is context retention, primarily with some of our device troubleshooting use cases. A lot of our workflows revolve around, hey, this is what we're identifying your issue as. Go ahead and try these, monitor for a little bit, and then get back to us, and we will help you take it through to resolution. Having a virtual assistant that cannot remember what happened the last time a customer came to us, maybe the day prior, that's a bit of an issue. At the same time, we do want to offer that personal touch by, knowing and retrieving what we can about the customer's devices, for example. So a lot of our customers will give their cameras cute little nicknames. So it's much more of a delightful touch for us to say, oh, are you reaching out about your camera, Cindy, rather than a 15-digit number, and they tend to appreciate that.
Yeah, so I actually spend a lot of time about how to make what my teams are building repeatable. During my time at Wendy's, we didn't have to worry about it as much from a brand-to-brand perspective, but we did have to understand how, from a restaurant to restaurant, region to region perspective. At the end of the day, it's got to be one core product. I don't have the bandwidth and the capacity to spend time on every single restaurant as a unique pattern. And as I've moved on to Presto, the same thing applies even more because we are working with cross brands. And the one thing that we do is instead of tackle the problem, I might be able to approach it and make a very unique experience that is custom for a customer or brand. But one of the things that I'm starting to train my organization on and how we approach things going forward is what are the commonalities in what we're trying to achieve. When you look at a customer's behavior, they're not a QSR, quick service, or a fast food customer, and you're a retail customer or an outdoor shopping customer. You're a human that has needs and intents, and those change throughout the day. If I'm out by myself without my family, I'm probably more relaxed. If I've got my two kids and they're yelling, I'm probably more urgent to get done. And I just happen to be at a brand trying to achieve an outcome. And so that's something I think a lot about. I think it might be a little bit unique within our space. And so as we work to develop an outcome, it's understanding the person that we're serving, understanding the unique moment that they are in their day. And my job is to not make them come to me and work well with my voice AI agent, whatever brand I'm at. I'm supposed to meet them where they are to make it easy. So we can get out of the way and let the human interaction happen. And so to kind of answer your question, yes, there in early days might have been some unique refinement, but I put a lot of effort in making sure it is repeatable, it's easy, it gets us to market faster. And to be honest with you, it's part of the Presto IQ part that I'm very excited about is I need to take the information from taking orders and understand more about who is there and whom I'm serving and how do I meet them where they're coming from. You talked about like the linguistics portion. That's a very important tool. It's like the verbal cookies to allow me to understand maybe who you are or where you're from without knowing that you're Parker. So
the irony. The irony of not having working mics when we're talking about drive-through order taking is not lost on me. Thank you. I'm curious, because you two are trailblazers in this space, you've both built working applications that are touching consumers every single day, and that's a big success when many in this room are builders. What's a challenge that maybe has come up or that you're solving now in implementation that you didn't expect? And how are you solving it, or how did you solve it?
So I'll jump in real quick. So to me, very early on, there were technical components. Like when we started the Fresh AI journey, like the company that we used for voice AI and large language models had never released it to the industry. So there's just fundamental things that we had to figure out that were hard, or understanding how the headset system, how do we stream audio in an efficient way. But those periods left, it was about a year's worth of that type of work. And the thing, as you go to scale, I think the hardest part has really been in the realization about you're interacting with humans. The tech has to fit in with them. A lot of times, companies will say, well, here's the new way you have to do it. If you want your technology to be successful, you need to easily, in a streamlined way, fit into the behaviors and patterns that exist there. And so, in my journey, we think about go-to-market, we think about scale. A lot of it is understanding that these employees, they're the ones that have to adopt it. The person that took orders for most of their time at a restaurant, it's a senior position. They're very proud of it. And so we would just pop in this AI and then they would get frustrated of like, why is it doing it that way? I know it's making decisions because it has amazing data that crew member doesn't have access to. But we maybe didn't do a really good job in the early days communicating that and letting them be partners in the journey. And so over time, really thinking about how the actual humans that will fit into the environment, the peripherals, the secondary, the tertiary consumers of this, it's very important to take them into account when developing out that go-to-market plan or understanding how the product is going to function.
I would like to very much agree with that. Something that I did not anticipate was just how resistant some of our live agents might be to adopting these agents as well. We always now frame it as kind of working in collaboration, and I think that has been really critical. I will also speak a little bit to the technical component and a technical hurdle. I did not realize, I suppose, just how important integration with our systems would be. And I think that can also tie into the agents as well, integrating with existing systems and processes, existing teams in place, et cetera, et cetera. And you don't really take that for granted until you run into a bumpy integration experience. Something will go wrong, a call might get dropped. So that is certainly a technical hurdle to overcome as well.
Yeah, well, one more thing to add. Before voice AI and the fast food restaurant industry and the drive-through accounts for anywhere from 70 to 85% of all of their business. And before this technology, they knew very little about what happened in their primary channel of business. They could do surveys, observations, get some data about what happened from the point of sale system, but they didn't understand the funnel and the flow like you can in e-commerce. This tool fundamentally changes that. The same, if not more, through the drive-through experience with voice AI now. And what happens is it's not just about crew members too. It really is an organizational transformation. This is the biggest thing that has happened to that industry since probably the drive-through. And so there's also a level of guiding the leadership through the door. These types of technologies, they have to come from CEOs, CIOs, or the CMOs. These are not initiatives, at least for ours, are not ones that could be led by a manager or director. It's too changing for the broader organization and what you can see and what the data now provides. It's going to change how you do your marketing. It's going to change how you think about your customers, how you develop food for the next LTO. And so to me, again, to reiterate, it's the people part, not because of them not wanting to absorb it. It's the unknown, the Pandora's box that it opens up about what is next. I'm standing on a higher mountain, and I thought was the peak of where I could go. And now I see that there's this whole other world in front of me of opportunity.
So what? Does this one work? Does this one work? Oh, great. So what's between all of us? One of them will work. So what's next in your mind? From my perspective, I recently tore my Achilles playing pickleball, and so I've been interacting a lot more with consumer AI, doing a lot more shopping, and I've personally been curious about agentic shopping. It's really hit the retail industry. It may start to hit food ordering a whole lot more, although it's hard to make food ordering more easy than it already is, but I'm sure we'll find a way. I was recently just reading that Amazon and ChatGPT are now the two leading places where consumers start their shopping journey. There's a lot of new data coming in and a lot to look forward to. What do you have your eye on right now? What do you think we'll be building in the future? What's something you're excited to innovate with?
We would love to actually expand our e-commerce capabilities and help our customers with that shopping. We are still early stages, I would say, in some of our chat capabilities. We're a new customer with the tool that we're using, and I am super excited to kind of do some more of those connections and get that information from our customers. Say, hey, we know you have this. We know maybe these are some of the problems you're having. Let's take a look at this and see how we can get your camera working a little bit better. Doing a little bit of some proactive personalization outreach as well, kind of with some of those issues. Say, hey, your battery's getting a little low, let's fix that maybe.
So I think I've alluded to it a little bit through my answers. What we thought was the goal, automating the drive-through, we found is like just the non-negotiable foundation. It just needs to happen. I think where we're going is this intelligence layer of the restaurant. There is data that lives all over. I can control and create a great experience through the drive-through, fine-tuning the upselling strategies, making a more human and authentic experience with the voice AI agent. But it's a balance. Like sometimes we saw early on that we could put too much traffic through and would overload the crew, which then would make things worse. And so I think you'll see companies like Presto and Presto IQ create these kind of restaurant operating systems or intelligence layers like Presto IQ that takes in data from many other places and helps provide more strategic and tactical guidance. Instead of an operator who has information coming all over and maybe not knowing what to do with it, I think that we are going to be able to provide a more clear path to help support them. And help them make better decisions with voice information, sensor information, and all of this at the edge or through the cloud are going to be really key components to making this work.
Speaking of decision making, we'll end with something fun. So what is a decision that AI is helping you make in your life, or one creative way that you're using it? And I'll go first. I really love hosting. And I've been using AI for all my wine pairings, and it's just been going over swimmingly. Like you can type in whatever cheese you're serving or whatever course, and I'm getting these really A+ Michelin level wine pairings.
I recently moved into a new apartment and have just been struggling to decorate it. So I have very much been looking for some decor recommendations. And using ChatGPT for some room mock-ups. That has been incredibly helpful. I do not have that creative eye, unfortunately, so that's been great.
So I started a new job with even more scope than I had before. So most of my life is really about work when I'm not at travel baseball with my son. And so I am always looking at how can I work faster or compute more thoughts or go through those processes more quickly or get to the point that I wanted to get to quickly. And so recently I have started creating kind of modes or personas within my LLMs. I have one that helps, that will give me feedback. It's like my board mode or I have one that is for coach. Like it helps coach me for like the role I'm in, where I want to go. I have a customer one. I have a conversational linguistics research agent. And depending on where I'm at, I'll engage these different modes. And these modes I went through and built, there are public figures that kind of sit on them that will help give me feedback and think through or challenge me on my thinking. And I have found it to be incredibly helpful in like getting from point A to point Q as quickly as possible. Before, like, you know, I'm like everyone, I would talk to ChatGPT, think through things. This gets very tactical, very surgical in how I'm thinking to help me, you know, process the ideas in my mind.
Just go right for it this time. Brilliant. Well, we appreciate all of your time. Thank you for bearing with us with the mic difficulties. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day at the conference. And thank you so much to our panelists, Michael and Parker, for amazing insights and a brilliant job.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can grab these for you.